Greetings, everyone, to another episode here at Arena STL on Field Sports Network. We are now hitting more into the fall, beginning of October, and there has been a few developments going on here with the AF1, and also, not to mention, free agency officially begins not just for the AF1, but also for the other indoor football leagues as well. As you may know from the previous episode last week, the Arena Football One had their meeting, as they dubbed it, Arena Football University in Chicago for 3 days. And they concluded as had a good stuff with the meeting there, representatives of each of the teams and also of the future possible teams, but we'll get back that into a moment. And the point of the meeting was to just have specific, make sure everything is stable, have everything with guideline stuff, because we all know what happened last year with the Arena Football League under Lee Hutton. Coffee, madness, misunderstandings, stuff getting not even being paid, and so on and so forth. But it's kind of good now to see that with the Real Football One, with mostly the same people, but under different methods and leadership. It's like you see how this league, even though it's a new name with some of the similar faces from Arena Football League last year, this year for Arena Football One, it's just nice to see a nice, stable, and just what I would call actually having a plan moving forward. Now, one of the things that was discussed was expansion stuff because as of right now, they only have 11 teams. And as we go to the map here, we have right here, there's still some spaces that could be filled here, but as of right now, that's all the 11 teams, including the one that Mexico that was announced the week prior. And they put out a statement for expansion right here on their website. Arena Football One continues to make preparations for the 2025 season. As part of these preparations and work building the Premier League for Arena Football, we continue to have discussions with multiple candidates for expansion. Recently, we held our annual Arena Football University, where we came together in the spirit of collaboration to build our game and our league. During this time, we held sessions on past practices in marketing, ticketing, staffing, operations, and much more. With decades of experience in the room, we wanted to open up this opportunity to potential expansion candidates as well. Although primarily focused on growing Arena Football One as the premier destination for player played on a 50-yard field, we wanted to want to share our knowledge widely in this spirit. We offer up this opportunity to organizations that express interest in joining our league. Being invited and here's the thing that caught everyone's eye here, because we heard a lot of the good stuff, but then came something that was concerning. Being invited to AFU does not guarantee admittance to our league. We hold rigorous standards for expansion teams and expect them to conduct themselves like teams aspiring to join the Premier League for Arena Football. This includes professionalism of communications and discipline in the vetting process. An indication from organizations that they attended Arena Football University should not be taken as a guaranteed admission to Arena Football One. We want to support all organizations interested in joining as expansion teams and expect them to operate in good faith and professionalism during this process. AF1 is open to discussions with all potential expansion organizations. The vetting process includes a thorough financial review, a review of past football operations, and consideration of potential arenas. Each organization is given feedback on the strength of their bid, and they will not be able to secure expansion rights until they prove financial viability and have stable leadership and have resolved past issues. There will be more announcements around expansion in the coming days. All announcements will be first made by Arena Football One via our website and social media channels. Any other announcements are premature and not officially sanctioned by AF1. So this kind of it's not surprising, but it's kind of interesting that those that were invited to Arena Football One, because good example is one of the teams that actually joined them on joining Arena Football One was, of course, the Arizona Bandits. They were originally supposed to be a 2025 team for the expansion process for Arena Football League. So it's kind of interesting that they put out that just because you were invited, that does not guarantee a spot, which kind of makes like a good thing. Like, you're here, we're interested, but that doesn't mean it's guaranteed. So it's still a job interview process. Just because we invited you doesn't mean that you're joining us. So kind of interesting, and also because during that statement there, like if I remember correctly, Anthony Carter from Marine Insider, there was a quote that there were some potential expansion franchises that what is the right word I could probably say this was, I think the most safest be disappointed and also the other one worrying. So they want to prevent what happened last year. And let me be clear, this is one of the main things when it comes to arena football that happens kind of a lot, is that you have to make sure you have the right financial backing. Because as you say, they basically want to put the people up that are putting bids in basically a financial audit in a way, forensic auditing. There's many other terms I could use here, and to make sure that they're ready to go and they have all their ducks in a row and not have any problems. Because if I recall, let's see, it was one, two, three. There were a few franchises this year with the Arena Football League that kind of proved that they didn't really have the money, or not just Arena Football League. Another example I've used to show when it came to the National Arena League was, of course, the Mississippi Raiders, or formerly Mississippi Raiders, and their field turf was basically like different parts, pieces of a puzzle from many different fields, and it just didn't look right. It was looked unsafe, and not to mention, trying to remember, I think it was a Colorado or somewhere mountain region type team that had their players not live in the, I guess, best conditions. It was kind of like a lousy apartment with leaks or something like that, if I recall a video a few months ago, something like that. So it's good that, like, they're making sure you join Arena Football One, you're good. You have passwords. And one thing too that they mentioned, arenas, because last week I mentioned that Gary Compton, basically the football operations director at Arena Football One, a few of the arenas that were potential teams, because one example, because it sounds kind of similar to what we have here in St. Louis and St. Charles, we're in the Family Arena, where the venue holds graduations, not just college, but the high school graduations. If you have like a big area with big schools, sometimes the gymnasium's not going to fill the whole students, faculty, and their parents, especially those that have more of 1,000 students. There's just no way. So those venues are usually used to hold graduations for those educational groups or so on and so forth. So that was one thing, and still kind of thinks that St. Louis is partly could be in the mix, but I don't know what type of expansion bids from what cities are interested that were there, because the only one we do know is the Arizona Bandits owner was there. You kind of think they have a sure thing. I think they do, but the question is, who are the other areas that were interested in joining Arena Football One? Because once again, let me put the map. Because with the 12th team, you have a lot of areas, especially in the Midwest. See how those Kansas teams are in an island right there in the middle? And then, of course, we have to remember we already have one international team with Mexico, with the Monterey Kings, and it's a very good logo. And there were talks of a possible team in Canada. Where in Canada? Because let me put the map here again, because there's a lot of area you could do with Canada there. Because more likely you would think probably Toronto, and as I said before in previous episodes, Canada does not have a shortage of venues for arena football. They mostly play kind of like hockey type arenas, and as I said before, who's basically the holy land of hockey? Canada. So that was kind of good to know on that type of front. And now the next step, of course, is the announcement because as of this show live right now, or you're seeing this after recorded some other time, there has been no announcements of any new expansion teams, though they did say that they kind of want to have that figured out by mid-October, so about 2.5 weeks would be my prediction. That they, because that's when they want to have the schedule, put that out there, and have all those venues and book them for those teams. Because we have the original 8 that came over for Real Football League. You got the Stockton Crusaders, new one, Wilkes-Barre, or Wilkes-Barre, sorry, which is, as of right now, according to their social media, they're getting ideas from the fans what they want the name to be called. And of course, that could probably, with a new team amount, it usually, because as of right now, it seems like they want to start the season probably about mid to end of March or some type of mid end of April. So have to calculate here probably. I would say it would be good for them to have a name chosen and logo design probably about, I would say, December to, I would say from mid December to mid January would probably be the best bet, in my opinion. And it's good that, like I said, it's a good idea to have these expansion teams vetted because, and once again, I also had to put this, just because the meeting was held in Chicago doesn't mean they're going to have a team in Chicago, though I know that there was supposed to be a Chicago Rush team last year for Real Football League to join this year, and that didn't happen. And ever since then, the socials for that team have been dead silent. So another thing that they announced was now for the players, because as of today, free agency Arena Football One has started, and it goes by the statement here by Arena Football One. As Arena Football One continues towards the kickoff of our inaugural season, we are excited to announce the timeline for player signing and allocation. The following timeline for player acquisition and signings have been set after collaborative discussion, between league staff, team owners, player personnel, staff, and head coaches. Starting Tuesday, October 1st, 2024, today, all founding teams of AF1 may begin to re-sign players to letters of intent. Oh, letters of intent, LOIs. I kind of wish they were just straight contracts, but nowadays you have to do letters of intent because some things can change, but I don't know, I just don't like the term. Players will be signed to an LOI, and the league will process all signings to make them official. Signings will not be official until the league office has processed the LOI. So we're going to have a lot of basically contracts signed, either sent by email or, if you want to do the old-fashioned way, by fax. Heck, the NFL did that a few years ago, if everyone remembers that whole situation with AJ McCarron and the whole fax machine didn't work, or kind of joke if you saw the Fox pregame show many years back. Also, beginning October 1st, the 11 announced teams of Arena Football One will be able to sign players who were not on a roster to LOI. So it's not just restricted to only players that played in Arena Football One. So there's no something that carry over. It could be outside the league. This will be an exciting time for Arena football fans as their favorite teams begin to fill out their roster for 2025. Additional expansion teams may begin signing players to LOI on Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. Players will sign LOIs, and the league official will sign off on it to finalize the signs. Beginning on October 15th, teams will also sign players who were on another team's roster. And this is important because we mentioned this in a previous show. Due to the condensed nature of this sign period, and after collaborative discussions with all teams, we have decided not to conduct an expansion draft for the 2025 AF1 season. All players will be signed and allocated to teams via free agency. Interested players should contact AF1 teams via their respective channels and stay tuned for announcements about tryouts to be conducted for the 2025 AF1 season. Last paragraph here. As Arena Football 1 continues 2025 season, we will continue to update fans on dates, deadlines, as we continue solidifying our plans for 2025. Be sure to follow your favorite favorite arena teams on their social media and get ready to cheer on new and returning players in 2025 AF1 season. So basically, starting today until not this next Tuesday, but the following one. I guess the best way I could describe it from reading that and figure out there, it's kind of like restricted free agency for the most part. So they basically want to get all the major 8 teams to get all their resign their players, and after that have the newer teams sign their players. So I am disappointed that they are not having an expansion draft because it kind of would be exciting because there hasn't been an expansion draft for, as I said before, for any league or any sport that I can recall, except for the latest being the Seattle Kraken in the NHL. So it's a little disappointing, but I could kind of understand because that was a very tight window. And another thing too is that they still don't know like who are the new expansion teams that are, because as I mentioned before, they're still discussing what teams could be there in the future. And when I come to think about it, it's kind of good they're doing this in a way. So I guess so, like they're still planning. Hold on, let me check. Because as I said before, free agency starts today, and there really hasn't been many announcements. I'll get to those in a few minutes. Course, it looks like yeah, they actually did change it here because I wanted to check because I thought there was a change when it came to free agency for the newer teams. They could sign their players today as well, so I thought that was right. So there's somewhat restricted free agency to a point, but uh they so basically all free agency, so they need to sign players and as I say tryouts because a lot of the arena teams do with the local tryouts and depending on like because usually there's a fee to it. Sometimes it could be 60 or there was a scam league not too long ago, a few weeks ago that was charging like $150 to $200 and that was even extremely high. So that really hopefully they get some because pretty soon there's going to be a lot of talent, and there's already been some rumbles, not just in Arena Football League, but other ones too. But we're going to take a little break here and break down the latest free agency news that has been announced so far.
Houston, we've triumphed. I've made it back to Earth with the cargo intact. The game-changing, time-sensitive payload is none other than the revolutionary energy flavor we've all been waiting for. Introducing Merc Mayhem Cherry Limeade. Merc Clan played a crucial role in securing this energy flavor, and together we've unlocked the future of power. Merc Mayhem is not just a drink, it's a statement, a fusion of relentless energy and bold flavor. The secret is out. Merc Mayhem is set to redefine the energy landscape, leaving ordinary drinks in its cosmic dust. Get ready for a taste explosion that matches Merc Clan's unparalleled power. Join the revolution, and let's unleash Merc Mayhem upon the world. Astronaut M signing off.
Same great taste. Yes, same great taste. Same great taste.
So when it comes to free agency news, not much yet because according to, as you said, the statement I pulled for a free football one, that still needs to be processed by the league office. But the biggest actually free agency news that actually came into Real Football was actually outside the Arena Football 1 League, but in the IFL, the Indoor Football League, and quite surprising, actually. The offensive rookie of the year that was now the former quarterback, Josh Jones of the Northern Arizona Wranglers in the IFL, basically signed, moved up a little bit more north to the Bay Area Panthers, where he's joined by other coaches and staff that were actually formerly of the Wranglers. And geez, it's like the Bay Area Panthers, for those that remember, as it was actually the number one favorite, and they were the defending champions of IFL. And they came up a little bit short, got eliminated in the first round of the IFL. And it it's still kind of interesting how that played out, especially with the whole IFL championship, but I digress. So basically, Bay Area Panthers, they're not really in a rebuild. They're more like retooling and rebuilding, especially with the sign of a young quarterback. Because, like I said, Josh Jones, he was one of the highlights of the year, especially in the West Division, and now signing with a different team. Because if for those people that are joining the show that's new to Arena Football, there's not really any multi-year deals. It's basically a one-year contract. This isn't like the NFL where you sign to a 3-year, 4-year course. Those also can be basically waived or something, because especially if you know how flimsy some contracts are in professional sports. But it's kind of interesting that because it's really kind of hard to retain good talent. And seriously, though I will say with arena football, it's probably more easier than, especially if you pay attention to college football with the whole NIL deals, and especially what happened in UNLV and how that situation went. And does look like the quarterback there made the right decision due to how his backup is doing, but that's a whole other different topic. And it's just amazing to me, like you could have a good team the this year, but then the second year, a lot of your players are just gone, even after six, going somewhere else. Or in another case, in Arena Football 1 with the Atlanta Predators, they're looking for a new quarterback. Their starting quarterback retired, and now they're starting to look for a new one, either for free agency. Could the quarterback come from free agency, or could it come from a tryout? Heck, it's not happened before. You could see probably some from that used to be, could be in an NFL camp, or now could be coming a cut that was from the UFL camps. So it's interesting here too. And then the only signing so far that has been confirmed with Arena Football 1 is Jamer Rio Benson, or Rio, his nickname is, re-signed to the Salina Liberty. And this was a no-brainer because Jamero, or I'll say Rio because that's his nickname, basically played everything for him: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, defensive back, and even special teams. So basically, you kind of have, I would call maybe the gadget version of the arena football type of player. And now, the, trust me, his value was high for it. So now he's resigned there, and Selena continues to have their weapon, and they, of course, Selena Liberty, defending. Well, we'll see what division they are, because it was the Midwest, or was it the Central Division? They were the champions of that. So they need to keep that so they could win their division, because those that were not here last week, it looks like the arena football, instead of having like 4 divisions, looks like they're gonna have 2: a West division and an East division. Of course, now you have to see, like, okay, who's in the East? Because once again, let me put up that map. Of course, technically unfinished; it's not final yet. You could see like what's considered the West and the East here, because of how those Kansas teams are in the center right there. It's like, do some of those break off and go to the East here? Because West, you could kind of figure you got Washington there, Stockton there, the defending Arena Bowl champions with Billings joining in for Arena Football 1. And then this side, of course, you got Albany Firebirds, the Wilkes-Barre team, Orlando, Nashville, because you could say that's East. But then you got the Central team there in Kansas. And now you have to think, okay, does it look like the Wichita regulars need to break off or what here? Because as of right now, because like if I would have to bet for the finalizing of teams for Arena Football 1, it looks like it'll probably somewhere between, because I'll say give the low a 12 and say give a high of 14, because Gary Compton, the director of football operations of Arena Football, did say that they could try working with an odd amount of teams because there's apparently going to be buys for teams. So it's not uncommon because those that have watched the CFL, they still have an odd number of teams. And there's usually a team odd man out for each week of the regular season for the CFL. So we could just have one team have a bye, or once again, because this is common arena football, just play a team in a different league, or have some have done in the past. They actually pay some low whatever group of football players. They dress up as whatever team they want to be and just face in an exhibition type of thing. That's happened before because those that have not watched the previous, as we in here in St. Louis, right after the St. Louis Rams left and moved to Los Angeles, California, and became the Los Angeles Rams once again. There was a team in St. Charles that at the Fenway St. Charles called the River City Raiders, and for their second season, they played what there was another arena football team in the past they called the River City Rage, and they had them on the schedule, and even I'm like, that doesn't seem right because I looked up and couldn't find them anywhere, and they were just basically off the street players that they paid who knows how much, and just looks like they got common uniforms quick as they can, and they just played them and beat them. So basically, a tune-up game for those that have know what I'm talking about, watching the Longest Yard films, both the original remake and some reason going to be a second remake for some odd reason, but okay, that's your gut. That's the studio's choice. So now, as of right now, not much going on until I probably expect it's going to be kind of funny because this usually happens on my show right after my show ends or the day after. There's a lot of news that come up here. So it's going to be interesting to see what other names are going to stay because a player that I've been following the last few years because he played in the UFL, Connor Davis, who plays for the West Kansas Storm, and he's they're basically tight end, right tackle type of player. See if he stays there or do they go. And it's going to be interesting too because also Selena did hire a new GM. When it was a GM or it was or something of player development that was a former player. Oh wait, Wichita is the one that hired a different general manager, and that team needs it. Which of all the teams that, and surprisingly, I'm still surprised they're still here. Wichita is the one that needs the most help. So hopefully this gets them better to sign better talent because it didn't really cut it. Honestly, Washington Wolfpack was better, and they had a small center. Even though he was good technically, he was still undersized. So it's good. That's good that because as I said before, 1 year of arena football doesn't really match the following year. It mostly can be, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. And once free agency starts to pick up and you see these teams form and hopefully see what other teams doing because that whenever that Canadian team was floated out there, you still have the uncertainty of the Arizona Bandits. And it's just going to be interesting to see. And also the other announcements and that bubble. They still have to announce the TV deal. Also, like ticket prices and stuff, because I'm interested with the ticket price because it was already announced that the players are going to be paid a bit less than they were in the Real Football League, but there's some more incentives for compensation. But one thing that was basically now confirmed by the league is that housing and food and all that stuff is guaranteed. That's outside of what you're being paid, and also find other ways of compensation, paying for autographs and something a little bit more. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes up there and more announcements, because I'm excited to see what Arena Football 1 does here, because you can see the vision of what the Arena Football League that was rebranded for the third time could have done, but what Lee Hutton and now have to put G6 Sports in there because of how the whole deal, and it's going to be interesting because any week now we could hear about a lawsuit from the 8 original owners of the Arena Football League that are part of Arena Football 1 now, do a lawsuit with G6 because they still haven't been paid for putting down that 300 grand to have the Arena Bowl last season. So it's going to be interesting to see. And that's all I have for you this evening. So another note here, there still could be a show next week, but it will not happen next Tuesday on October 8th. I have a previous engagement that I will be involved in at that time, so I will not be there. I will not be here at this time slot. So I will try to see if there's another time. Could be earlier, could be later, but more likely it will happen after next Tuesday. Probably before Thursday, because there ain't no way I'm going to try to do a show during Thursday night football. That just wouldn't work. But thank you for joining me this evening on Arena STL here on the Field Sports Network. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page, follow us on Facebook and X, and be sure to catch up because more things are coming in the future for here on Field Sports Network. See you all guys next time.